Welcome to another edition of the Souls of Black Folk broadcast. We come to you every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. And, we invite you to join us. We're on Facebook Live. And in addition, we have a YouTube page. You're welcome to come to those and not only see current programming, but you can see some of the past programming for the Souls of Black Folk broadcast. My co-host is with us, Brother Michael Muhammad, the student minister there in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And we're always encouraging you to visit a major national website, the NOI.org. You'll learn more about the live webcast coming from our flagship mosque for the Nation of Islam and Mosque Mariam there in Chicago, Illinois. Additionally, you can see some of the programming that we have on Wednesday nights coming, the time and what must be done. But we invite you to look on that website. You can get to the Final Call bookstore. You can find out about publications in that from our publishing house. And we have wholesale and retail publications of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and other authors, particularly from the historical research team for the Nation of Islam. You can find out about the Final Call radio, which is on 24/7. Find out all of that, just go to NOI.org. But we want to let you know that Mosque number 12 has reopened. So every Sunday, you can get us on Facebook Live. Just go to Mosque number 12 Facebook page. At 11 a.m. on Sundays. We're on a series now, Quality of Life series. Tomorrow's subject matter is Somebody's Trying to Kill You. So we hope you will join us for that kind of discussion that's desperately needed now that Philadelphia has been named #1 when it comes to gun violence in the country. Tonight's program, we're dealing with a country that sometimes is not talked about in Black circles here in these United States of America, but nevertheless, it's been there. I think since 1981, a successful revolution in the country of Haiti. It brought about a very large purchase and land acquisition in forming these current United States of America called the Louisiana Purchase, where the French made a deal with the colonists to sell certain lands here that were French holdings. And so sometimes we're not clear how that happened, but for the sake of this program, you should know, had it not been for the Haitian Revolution, that Louisiana Purchase may never really have taken place. So Haiti has been there. It's been stormy in terms of the administrations, one after the other. There. And as I said, we haven't talked about the Haitian Revolution and it being the only real Black independent republic in the Western Hemisphere that we know. But recently, there was the assassination of the current president, Moise, who I believe was going out and was naming a new person to be prime minister. But before that installation, he was assassinated and his wife was critically wounded in that. And so to talk to us tonight about Haiti, what it is, are there Haitians here in America? Where can we find their communities in that? What are they doing here? We've always heard that many people coming from the Central Americas are very hardworking when they get to these United States of America. And so our own brother in the Nation of Islam, who's an attorney, he's been a city official, and even more, Brother Yusef Makhandal is going to be with us tonight. So we want to welcome you to the Souls of Black Folk, Brother Yusef.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Honor.
We're happy to have you. I hope I had that right. Number one, I want to, was it 1781 that the revolution in Haiti from the French took place?
It was in 1791.
1791, so I'm 10 years early.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's the accepted norm. Well, first of all, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. I greet each and every one of you, listening audience, with the greeting word of peace, and of course, the greeting word of paradise. We say it in the beautiful Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum.
Well, wa alaikum
Walaikum
salam.
salam, sir.
You, beloved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for and having invited me to this wonderful program. You, Brother Rodney, you, Brother Michael, with whom I go a long way. Brother Michael has been the one to exemplify the notion of shopping still. And so the only way steel can shop steel is still has to be steel. So, so he confirmed that I was a steal because he sharpened me.
Oh, praise be to Allah. Likewise.
Praise be to Allah. So, and I want to thank you, Brother Michael, of course, Brother Rodney, for your work in the community with this wonderful program. And Brother Rodney, a special thanks to you for having participated in that event, the memorial of
Oh, yes, sir.
President.
I was happy you called us so that we would know about it. I wouldn't have even known about it had you not called. I knew about the assassination, but I had never really interacted with the Haitian community in the area. So thank you for
Yes,
asking.
sir. Yes, sir. And that's great leadership in your part to be so responsive to the call, and your presence meant a lot, not only to myself, but to those who organized this event. It shows tremendous support. Of course, this was done not only on behalf of the mosque in Philadelphia, but also on behalf of the Nation of Islam, and of course, the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, who has been militating in the Black community since the time that he became conscious of his mission. And when I say the Black community, I'm also including the Haitian community, because the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan in 1996 had commissioned Brother Diogenes Mohammed to make beautiful ministers for him in the Hispanic and in the Haitian community. And I was one of two student ministers that were chosen to sort of be an understudy with Brother Diogenes Enrique Mohammed, who's also called Brother Mohammed Abdullah Mohammed. He's the only Muslim brother that I know that has two Mohammed in his name. So, so it was I had a double portion of Muhammad guiding in giving me directives, because he was very strong in history, particularly Haitian history, Dominican history. So it was a perfect segue for me when I first joined the Nation of Islam in 1996 to be under Brother Mohammed Abdullah Mohammed on behalf of the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, to sort of marry the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad with the historical component of Haiti. And I always call the Haitian history is really the history of the Black men and women in the island called Haiti in Dominican Republic. So, having said that, many people have thought that the minister became interested in Haiti after the earthquake in January 12, 2010, when the minister sent a water purification system that produces 30,000 gallons of water per day. And of course, this was it cost the Nation of Islam and the minister a hefty cost over $135,000, worth of machinery, and it was a state-of-the-art solar generated water purification system. And this was not only in response to the earthquake, but also there was a cholera outbreak that was caused by the UN Nepalese forces from Nepal, the country of Nepal. There was a number of UN soldiers from that country who was known to have this type of disease. That specific strain of cholera came from that region. Haiti never had any issue this type of cholera until those Nepalese UN soldiers first came in the country and also started dumping their excrement, talking about truckload of excrement into the main river in Milbalé.
Oh my God.
Yes, sir. This caused over 10,000 deaths in Haiti, and also contaminated over 1 million people in Haiti. And this, when the minister found out that this could be cured with basic sanitation and basic clean water, and that's when the minister saw fit to donate this machine on behalf of the Nation of Islam.
So are you saying there were no other means of controlling sanitation when UN soldiers are brought in? Were they imposed on Haiti, or were they invited by the Haitian government?
Yeah, it's very interesting when we say invited by the Haitian government, when the Haitian government is controlled by the American government and other governments as well. And so yes, Haitian officials sort of agreed, but they were guided to, by those who are controlling the government to make that kind of acquiesce. So yes, the UN forces came supposedly to establish the peace in Haiti, but at that time there was no war in Haiti. There was no reason, valid
reason for them then.
Exactly. Other than protecting the interests of the oligarchs and engaging in covert operations. Because Haiti is very rich with resources, and so there has been a lot of activities in secluded area, and that's pretty much what they have done.
So let me ask you something, Brother Yusef. Now, 1781, 1791. I mean, Haitians broke free from the French, and if we could walk back a minute. You're kissing the door on, let's say, the 1800s. So maybe 1800 on. What was the country of Haiti doing after its declared independence, free from being colonized by the French? Did any other countries ever do trade with them? Was there any internal development of the rich resources that you talk about beneath their feet? What happened after they broke free from the French?
Yes, sir. Just very quickly, the Haitian Revolution, in truth, many historians have missed that, did not necessarily start in 1791. It started in 1751. 40 years earlier, with the great master Francois Makhandal, whose name I have, and he was a Muslim, and he spoke Arabic, and he professed amongst the slaves, the enslaved Africans, that one day that those enslaved Africans will become the masters of the land called Haiti. And the word Haiti did not originate from Haitians or the black men and women who are called Haitians today. The word Haiti came from the original inhabitant of that island called Dominican Republic and Haiti today. It used to be called Haiti or Haiti by the Native Americans, the Arawaks and the Aztec. And so the Taino, the Arawaks and the Taino called it Haiti or Haiti. And so from 1751 to 1758, that was the era of Makhandal, who started the revolution of the mind and also physically as well. And then in 1791, that's when Bookman, who came from the same plantation as Makhandal, continued the revolution. And from 1791 to 1803, the black men and women who were enslaved in Africa were able to defeat not only the French, they defeated the British, they defeated also the Spaniards during those 12 years. And in 1804, that's when the Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines, the first emperor that we have of African descent in the New World, or in after this area, during the era of slavery, he declared not only Haiti independence for Haiti, but he issued a universal declaration against those forces. Because remember, when we fought the last fight we fought in 1803, November 1803, was not just against France, but it was also against Europe, because
so Europe, period, just because obviously Europe was in a hot competition, each country with the other, for how much of the earth and its subjects they could bring into a colonized model of living. Yeah,
exactly. And so when Napoleon sent his brother-in-law Leclerc to occupy Haiti, to put Haiti back into slavery, when he did that in 1802, he summoned the best soldiers in Europe, not just from France, the German,
like mercenaries or something, huh?
Exactly.
Wow.
25,000 soldiers, best of their soldiers from Europe went to Haiti to put Haiti back into slavery. And of course, they were defeated mightily by the black men and women who were enslaved from Africa. And so January 1st, 1804, that's when the Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines declared our independence. And so,
And so with that declaration, and we're right at 1804. So what does Haiti do with that independence? Were there any other nations that recognized Haiti as an independent nation when she did that? Because it's obviously a black kingdom sitting in the Western Hemisphere.
Yes, sir. That's a very good question, because the United States of America did not, although Haiti helped, or although the enslaved Africans helped the United States to fight against the British in 1779 in Savannah, Georgia, when we gained our own independence in January 1st, 1804, the United States of America did not recognize Haiti's independence for 58 years, from 1804 to 1862, did not recognize our independence at all. Even when we, through one of our leaders, whom I, call him Sellout, he signed a treaty, with France, with Charles X, Charles X. I would prefer to say Charles X. I don't want to besmirch the letter X. Charles X from France. Supposedly they wanted to recognize Haiti's independence. There was an extortion going on, they forced our president Boyer to sign a treaty agreeing to pay 150 million francs to France, and to
as what, reparations?
No, yeah, reparation to France.
For France colonizing Haitians,
Yes,
enslaving Haitians. They wanted Haitians, after they fought to be independent of that, they wanted them to pay France reparations for breaking free to be independent.
yes, France wanted Haiti to pay them reparation for having lost Haiti and also for having lost the Louisiana territory in 1803. And one of the countries that recognized Haiti was as an independent country was Russia, and Greece. Greece recognized Haiti because we helped Greece fight against the Ottoman Empire. We helped Simon Bolivar to free Latin America, and so those Latin American countries did recognize Haiti's independence. But the number one culprit and still the number one enemy of our people and all over the world did not recognize Haiti during the 58 years. And it's interesting, a few months after they recognized Haiti, that's when the Emancipation Proclamation for our brothers and sisters here in America was issued in 1863.
So when it came to trade, virtually, I mean, Haiti ends up not having any real trading partners. Yeah. That means there's no exports, imports. I mean, how does this country get along? How do they feed their citizens, clothe them? What happened? What does their economy look like, and how does it work?
So on paper, the United States of America did not recognize Haiti, but covertly, they were doing trade, and in 1806. It's really interesting when you read that history to see, the battles that were going on in Congress, where they were saying, they don't want any relations with this country. And meanwhile, the South, was very much involved in dealing with import-export with Haiti. But that was on the down low, if you want to use that term. It was not done legally. And but of course, there are other countries like the British. They were involved in import-export.
And so what that does, if it's a real under the table kind of arrangement, I mean, there millions and millions of unaccounted dollars, which could corrupt the government and prevent the real redistribution of wealth in Haiti.
Correct.
Yeah,
and then I have to mention that treaty, as Pat Robinson wrongfully stated, that the reason why Haiti had the earthquake in 2010 was because Haiti made a pact with the devil when we fought and won our independence. But that independence was because we made a pact with God, because every time you're fighting for freedom, justice, and equality, you have to make a pact with God, because your life and your death are all for Allah. But the pact with the devil that we made was when we entered into the treaty in 1825 with Charles X, and in accepting to recognize our independence in exchange of agreeing to pay France $150 million in gold, which took us 122 years to pay. So imagine 85% of our budget from 1825 all the way to 1940s were being allocated toward paying a false debt. Yes, to making France look so great. People want to go and visit France and the Tour Eiffel and all those beautiful cities, and you're looking at the Haitian wealth there.
Uh-huh. So that in a large way that explains the extreme levels of poverty that we learned that some of the people in Haiti have been subjected to, over a period of time. So let me come to, the immigration thing, because, obviously they're Haitians in America.
Yes, sir.
And I don't know, I think one time years ago, I remember the minister being in Miami, I believe it was. And so he made a statement, I believe, about the Haitians, but it turned out to be incorrect. So the minister had to tell the audience, look, I've been given kind of the wrong information. But I thought he said something to the effect that much of the economy in Miami was really being run by Haitians. And it turned out not to be true. But there is a large, substantial Haitian community in southern Florida.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Okay.
The truth about it is, at the time that the minister made that statement, the economy, the Black economy in Florida was being primarily run by Haitians, because we back then had banks, we had our own community.
Mm-hmm.
The money was circulating within the community of the Black community, of those of Haitian descent. Certainly, we were not running the Cubans and the Jews economy. Right. But I believe, the minister was alluding to the Black community.
But yeah, someone was sharing information. I mean, he was in town.
Yes, sir.
So, many that go out and get things set up for the meetings, they may tell him certain things, and he may read, the paper just to kind of be brought up to speed.
Yes, sir.
What the demographics are like and the economy and that. A lot of the deportations, what we found, and I didn't become as aware of it until I was a president of an NAACP branch, and our national council contacted us, and a lawsuit was put in against Donald Trump's administration because of the deportation of immigrants. And so some people thought we were just in the regular fight because there was a national conversation going on about immigration in America. But the NAACP Council was reminding people that what you see on the news is not really depicting what's going on, that a large part of the people who were being deported were actually Haitians or people of African descent, but a lot of times we were being shown people from the Latino community and that kind of thing. So so a lot of Haitians are being prevented from coming in the country, and some in the country being sent back to Haiti.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's very interesting you mentioned that, because during Donald Trump's presidency, he made an open statement that reflected and reflects the foreign policy objective and the attitude of America vis-a-vis Black immigrants and Haitian immigrants in particular. He said, why don't we have people from Norway, coming in America instead of having, Haitians? We don't need Haitians. What do we need Haitians for to come in United States? So who are the Haitians? They are Black folks. And who are the Norwegians? They are white folks. So, in other words, his preference is to have more whites to come as immigrants to populate the United States, as opposed to have Haitians. And also, he called Haitians a S-hole country. To me, some people took offense of him saying that, but this is the president of the United States that is in control of the policies affecting Haiti. So if he says that, he knows that his policy, or the policy of the United States of America, has been an asshole policy toward Haiti that turned Haiti into that condition that Haiti is currently in, because Haiti was not a asshole country when it first was established. It was a beacon light of hope for freedom, justice, and equality for all oppressed people all over the world. So for us to get to that point, from being the richest colony in the world, the richest country after 1804 in the Western Hemisphere, to become this SO, as Trump indicated, is clearly something happened, something external, and also with the complicit of leaders internally that collaborated in making putting this country in the condition that it's currently in.
Well, a lot of the Black leadership in the country, and we could say the Congressional Black Caucus, we don't hear a collective, concerted effort and voice condemning America's practices with not many African nations, but certainly, not Haiti. And, do you feel that there's a perception and a false characterization of Haiti, that it's just this Black country that's dysfunctional, that ends up either running their political leadership out of the country, as like Duvalier and his wife fled to France, or either killing them, like this recent assassination of Moise and his wife being critically wounded in that attempt to kill them?
That's a very powerful question that would take hours, really, but I will do my best to sum it.
Well, I'm just saying, do you get the feeling in America, just among Black Americans, that they don't see Haiti properly, or do we see it properly? I don't hear enough discussion even about it to know, if it's set right. So I'm just wondering if there's a faulty perception, mind you, a faulty perception, because if seeing Haiti in the clearest possible light requires reading,
yes, sir,
and I mean critical reading,
yes, sir,
studying, so that you know what you're reading currently, what happened yesterday. If today is built on yesterday, then you may be reading some information today and you say, well, that's not congruent with what I know about. But if you don't know about the real history of it, can Black Americans really have a proper picture of Haiti and Haitian people?
Our teaching says, how can they know unless they have a teacher? And how can they have a teacher unless he be sent?
Wow.
And so, unfortunately, we don't have, first of all, we don't have the curriculum. And even with the teachers don't have the right to teach something that is outside of the curriculum. And when I'm saying I'm talking about the teachers, I'm not referring to our brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam.
Just regular public institutions.
Yes, public institutions, because I myself saw that face to face. I went to high school in the United States. I did 11 and 12th grade in high school, and my teacher, history teacher, would go in the basement during my lunch hour to teach us about Black history, including Haitian history, because it was not in a part of the curriculum. And we see that with the critical race theory movement, trying to eliminate not Haitian history, but Black history altogether out. And so a people without history is like a tree without roots, and a tree without roots cannot stand. Now, with regard to this question, and part of it is the educational system that does not teach not only Americans, but Black Americans about Haiti. And so you have, a number of Blacks who get great degrees in summa cum laude and all of that stuff, and then not even having a scintilla of understanding of their own history in general, but a history of Haiti in particular. And so, but to bring you back to history, in 1915, the United States of America occupied Haiti, invaded Haiti from 1915 to 1934, for 19 years. And during that time, it's interesting because that invasion and occupation was done a few months after the president of Haiti was assassinated in July 28th, in July 28, 1915. His name was Jean Guillaume Sam. He was assassinated, and then soon thereafter, the United States of America invaded and occupied Haiti. And during that occupation, it was James Weldon Johnson, who was, I believe, the first secretary of the NAACP, who was the one who went on a fact-finding mission. And we went there to Haiti to examine and to see the impact of the U.S. occupation on Haiti. And his report was gruesome. It was very heartfelt. He felt that this has to stop. And he, along with Black officials, elected officials, and others, even whites who were touched by his report, started a movement calling for the United States to get out of Haiti. And so, unfortunately, we don't have this now because they don't know. And they don't know. And then they are also fall into the system, the lobbyist system, where a Black or elected official can understand clearly what the issues are, but because they have bought into the lobbyist system, they promises, monies, and whatnot, contract signed to take a certain position, even against their own interests, then their lips are sealed. And I experienced that. And I'm not gonna name the Congresswoman who demonstrated that to me. But just in May 22nd, we were having an event in New York, and we, as an elected official, or former elected official, as a mayor, former mayor in New Jersey, I have relations with some of those Congressional Black Caucus members. And I reached out to some of them in New York, and they were very happy to hear from me. And then I invited one of whom to participate in that event. And that event was about bringing the Haitian officials from Haiti to address the issue of referendum and the new constitution that the assassinated president Jovenel Moïse had proposed. And the opposition against Jovenel Moïse was so virulent and so feral, so negative, that the atmosphere was very tense, and it was unexpected and also unwelcome, the fact that we decided to have these officials to come to address the Haitian community. And so my friend, my acquaintance, had agreed to come to the event, but I'm giving her away, I'm sorry. But some of the people who were in control of the Black Caucus reached out to her and said, no, you can't go, you cannot make it. And I said to her representative that it's a whole day event. If she has something in the morning, she can always come in the afternoon or vice versa. And they said to me, not only the Congress person cannot make it, you should also scrub the name Congressional Black Caucus from your flyer.
Wow.
We have to redo the flyer all over again. What's going on? This is a Haitian official, government officials coming to address the Haitian community. What's the problem?
That's what I was going to ask you too. You know, let's say I'm a pretty well-off Black business person. We have a certain consortium or cartel, and let's say we have the means and the capital to bring tools of excavation and stuff. And so we say, well, Haiti's got oil, but maybe they're crippled in their ability to extract this resource, this rich resource, but we're willing to pay good money to come in, do business with Haiti, employ Haitians to work in some of the oil refineries and that, bring back oil and things. What kind of government policies, are there government policies right now that would prevent me from doing that as a Black person doing business with another Black person that's in their own, they have their own independence, they have their own flag, they have their own government? Is there anything stopping me or would stop me from just going there and, you know, we sign a deal and now our company can come in and we do business with Haiti?
Yes, sir. If you're talking about mining, I heard once that President Bush said the natural resources, particularly the oil in Haiti, does not necessarily belong to Haiti. And that, to me, it's an indication, a clear indication that those natural resources that still are unmined, they are in that state for you know, a good reason. I mean, I won't say a good reason, for a reason. And the reason is
that legal? Can you say you own the land, but you don't own the mineral rights? And I know they did that to some Black men in Tulsa, Oklahoma, because there was oil in Oklahoma. You can own the land, but they said you can't own the mineral rights. So if you find oil on your land, gold on your land, diamonds on your land, anything that can enrich you just from the land other than growing food, we reserve the right to those minerals and everything, and you just own the land.
Yes, sir.
Is that legal? Because I know you're an attorney. I don't know all the legal stuff and how it's hardwired legally, but can they do that?
It's certainly not legal, but unfortunately, might make right because they have the might to do it. You know, they are engaged in policies that on paper it says, yes, you know, this is your land, you can do whatever you want, but who's gonna do it? And then is that person bold enough, like Jovenel Moïse, the president, to speak out against injustices that were going on, that are going on in Haiti, and at the cost of his or her own life? And that's what the president, Jovenel Moïse, had done. He exposed some of those injustices. You know, he says one thing on paper, and in practice, you're telling me that I can't do this behind closed doors. No, and so he spoke out against those things, and then that cost his life. So anyone who would wish to make moves like that will have to understand that the consequences could be there.
Brother Yusef, I think it's important, especially for our listening audience who are unfamiliar with you. We do know you're an attorney, you're a former elected official. But there's an aspect of your work with regards to the ministry that I think is very important. Could you just take a couple of minutes and share with us some of your work as a liaison to Haiti for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam?
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, beloved, for this question. I would not characterize it as my work. It's really the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's work.
Yes, sir.
Through me, because of the fact that he has given me clear directives as to, what to do and how to do it. Because it's always important to, when you're striving to become a representative of an entity or person, to stay in tune with what the person wishes for you to do. And so that's why, I always like to say, and not just to you, but to me. But I can, I can stay on the right course. And so the work has been, as it is in United States and in the rest of the world where we have presence as a nation, is the resurrection of our people. And of course, when we say resurrection of our people, is imparting knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to them, self-knowledge, and giving them a sense of identity, a sense of self, to love self, and to recognize the enemy of self, and of course recognize the God of self, and the creator of the heavens and the earth. So from the intellectual perspective, that has been the work. From a humanitarian perspective, we created two organizations, one of which is the Respect for Life Foundation in Haiti, where we reach out to the youth, particularly those who are poor and don't go to school. So we provide them with an environment where not only can they be fed, but also they can be taught as well. And we have a presence in different parts of the country, in the south, the west, the southern part, and also central, in the north of Haiti, where I myself, along with Brother Student Minister, Regional Minister Patrick Mohammed, we went to Haiti several times to implement some of those instructions that the minister had given us. And we have met with Haitian elected officials at the behest and on behalf of the minister, giving them clear warnings. And we have met with the president of Haiti, the former, not the one that was assassinated, but former one, and just to follow the work that the minister had established when he went to Haiti in December of 2011. And we have met with different religious leaders, be it those who practice voodoo or Christianity or Islam or Catholicism. We trying to continue the work that the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan had already started when he went to Haiti from December 11 to December 15 of 2011. So this is essentially the work, and the other organization is Combit Remplite Batimoun, which is a rough translation of movement for self-improvement as the community development. So these are some of the work that we're doing.
Yeah. Now our MGT captain, the national MGT captain, I believe she's Haitian, also Sister Captain Naima. And I do remember her going to Haiti back when we were bringing the filter, the water filter. And that I still can't get my head wrapped around trucks full of excrement being dumped in river water. I'm just wondering why there were no toilets. Soldiers, if you're going to have soldiers come in, I don't know how they get all of this on a truck and be able to take it somewhere and dump it. But what's next then for Haiti? If Moise was next to the best thing, I mean, in terms of pointing out errors, corruption, and things, and a man like that gets assassinated, you got to figure, well, his pointing out corruption and injustices has something to do with that. So then that says to us sitting from afar looking in, well, if you kill a man that's trying to bring light on a situation, then it must be taking the country back into darkness. Is that what happened, or is he going to be succeeded by somebody that will continue to point out injustices and try to bring correction and maybe really work with a determination to set up a model for equitable redistribution of wealth?
Yes, sir. That's a $64,000 question, because that next person will have to be willing to follow the same path.
Well, who is it? Have they been really named? I was searching for any updates before the program tonight, and so I don't know who's really supposed to take over, how long they're supposed to reign, what are the policies. I mean, for a country that says we don't recognize you as a nation, we're here condemning assassinations, and I saw where nations were weighing in condemning Moise being killed. But where are these people when he's struggling to try to bring about a correction of the structural inequities that are in the land?
That's very true. We have not, from my perspective, identified someone who would emulate his work. From a structural standpoint, the Haitian Constitution indicates in Article 149 that in the absence of the president, whether because of demise or loses his or her mind, the next person to carry the country into a election for a new government would be the prime minister of that country. And the president did nominate a prime minister one day before he was assassinated. And it is that prime minister who is currently the one who is in charge, based on the Constitution, of preparing for election. And so we don't know what kind of manipulations are going on or will be going on to sort of put Haiti back to the same position that Haiti was before President Jovenel Moise stepped into office, to continue the same corruption. We don't know, but the Haitian people are incensed. They are very upset. They have seen the light based on this assassination of this president. They started to see more what he stood for, and they are going to be more critical of the next leader, the next president, if there will be one. We don't know what direction.
But you got Haitian organizations and associations here in America. What kind of position have they taken about this assassination? Their feelings about the president that was there. I mean, what these organizations have formed, and to gather Haitians that are here. So what is their real mission? They want to bring either justice internally in Haiti, or are they trying to bring a better relationship with America with Haiti?
Well, definitely, they and I should say we want justice in Haiti. We want justice for Jovenel Moise, and we want justice for Haiti because Jovenel Moise represented Haiti, President Jovenel Moise, and it is a point that has to be stressed, and of course there are some factions in Haiti who wants the United States of America to enter or intervene. But my position is that the United States of America have always been intervening in our affairs. We either covertly or overtly. The third or fourth largest embassy, U.S. embassy in the world, sits in Haiti, and yet Haiti supposedly is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. What is the interest of the United States of America to have its fourth or the third or fourth largest embassy in a country supposedly that is so poor?
So I mean, in short, then these organizations, they don't all see exactly the same way then, because you're expressing that, look, we don't need to call on American government to intervene. They're already intervening. I saw a stinging editorial in the Final Call newspaper that America's bloody hand is still involved there in Haiti. I don't think the investigation on the assassination of Moise has been finalized. I don't think they've closed the book on it. So they're still finding culprits. Now, there was said to be a well-to-do Haitian businessman in Florida who I guess expressed a desire to be the president of Haiti. And he had security who weren't Haitians. They were from another country, but they were accompanying him in Haiti to protect his life against Haitians. And, I said, why would somebody want to be a president of a people that he's got to go to another country to get security for himself from the people that he wants to govern?
You're asking the right questions, Brother Rodney.
Well, I mean, it's just right. Is it a cash cow for some people? Like individuals say, man, we can make a lot of money dealing with Haiti with no regard for whether the average Haitian's life is improved or not.
Well, Haiti is a very rich country. I would say Haiti is a poor country. Haiti is impoverished, but Haiti is a very rich country, minerally speaking. Haiti has, as you mentioned before, the gold, the bauxite, the oil, iridium, the natural resources that are under Haitian foot would make, if you were to allocate that to each and every one of those 12 million Haitians in Haiti, each one of them will be a multi-millionaire. So, but of course, it is not in the best interest of the powers that be, of the United States, France, or Canada, to have independent, healthy, and wealthy Haiti. And it doesn't want the riches of Haiti for Haitians. They want it for themselves, because Haiti has 20% more oil than Venezuela. And yet Venezuela is, is very wealthy in that sense. And so it is in their best interest for them to control and manipulate the affairs, the political and economic affairs of Haiti, not for the benefit of Haitians, but for their own benefit. But this has to stop.
Brother Yusef, I know, we're at the top of the hour, but, the Dominican Republic and Haiti, being as close as they are in distance, they do have a history together. Yes, and sir. You often hear about, people here in the United States being very frequent in the Dominican Republic. No one ever talks about Haiti. How is the relationship between the Dominican Republic in Haiti, and has the Dominican Republic in some regard gotten on to the plight of Haiti to assist, show some type of sympathy at all?
Yes, sir. That's a very good question as well. I won't go deep into the history, but suffice it to say that the people of Dominican Republic and Haiti, when they meet with each other and they get to know each other, there is a natural connection between the people. I'm talking about the poor Dominicans and the poor Haitians. You know, I mean, some of them are infected and affected by the colorism and the racism that has been promoted by those in the elite, not only in the elite in Dominican Republic, but also in the elite of Haiti. But with proximity as neighbors and friends and people getting to know each other, they have a natural appreciation for each other's plight because they see that they have a common condition that coming from the common enemy. But from a governmental or interrelation level, it has been a very imbalanced relationship. The Dominican Republic drew $1 billion on a yearly basis from exportation of their goods into Haiti. And we're talking about goods that Haitians naturally produce, but the powers that be have reduced Haiti to a point where those items that they are importing from Dominican Republic, they start producing a lot of those items. We talk about basic things like lemons, banana, or plantain, eggs, you know, things that Haiti could produce itself, but they are importing them from Dominican Republic. So it is in the best interest of those elite in Dominican Republic for Haiti to remain in an abject condition, in a dependent state, so that they can continue to prop up their bottom line. So it is not necessarily the people of Dominican Republic or the poor in Haiti, but it is those in the elite. The same elite oligarch that is oppressing the Haitian people are the same ones who are in Dominican Republic as well. So that's and the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan had commissioned a brother by the name of Vladimir X to, you know, work on his behalf and to reach out to the Dominican people to teach them about, you know, the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and to sort of continue to create that sense of brotherhood and camaraderie to eventually make these two nations one nation.
Yeah, and you know, by them sitting on enormous wealth in Haiti, and there's a real contrast in what that wealth can do for people and how the current state of the people in Haiti. Black America is no better, spending $1.3 trillion annually, and we're still crying poor and hungry, and poor housing, and you know, I'm always using the example that $1 trillion is 1,000 billion dollars. So if you just took $999 billion off the table and just left 1 billion, 1 billion is 1,000 million. So with about 48,000 people, you could take 1/10 of a billion, which is 100 million, and give every Black person $2 million each. Every single Black person, $2 million each. And look at how much other money we're still spending. And so then people say, well, we don't have money. That's the problem. But I think the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is showing us confusion is the problem, disunity is the problem, but the money is just manifesting what disunity and what confusion will actually give you as a bottom line. We just like these folks because they give us nothing.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yes, sir.
You can get something and still have nothing when you're confused.
Yes, sir. That is very true. And you mentioned money, and also Brother Michael mentioned Dominican Republic. And I did promise I was not going to go into history, but this one is unavoidable as far as what Dominican Republic did to Haiti back in 1937. And I have it here, and I'm just going to read it very quickly. The Dominican dictator, President Rafael Trujillo, directed the purge of Haitian farm workers and laborers in an overtly racist campaign of government violence to keep his country white. As many as 40,000 Haitians were killed. The Organization of American States interceded and forced the Dominican Republic to acknowledge 18,000 deaths, for which it paid $522,000 in restitution with no other consequence than an angry neighbor. A Haitian life was worth $29 to the Organization of American States, with most lives unrecognized. So out of the 40,000 Haitians that were killed, only 18,000 were recognized, and they allocated $522,000 in restitution for those 18,000 deaths, which comes down to $29 per person.
So
that was
wow. This is really something. I think our time has run up, and we just getting into it. It's so much to talk about with this, but do you have any closing remarks or things that you wanted to say, Brother Yusef? This would be a good time, for the listening audience.
Yes, sir. Well, I want to thank you, both of you, Student Minister Rodney and Student Minister Michael Mohammed, for this very, very important work, because the work that you're doing is not in the curriculum of the, schools in America. So you are the poor righteous teachers that are inculcating knowledge to the 85%, so that the 85% eventually can take their rightful place, which is to become the masters of the land, as Brother Francois Makhandal prophesied that those Haitians would be. And so only the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, only the implementation of that teaching will be able to free us from the shackles of ignorance, and to eventually take our rightful place in this world.
Well, man, we are so thankful to have had you. The other organizations, we always like to get a commitment that you're willing to come back, because I don't think this is over. I think a lot of discussion. I'm 40 years ago, when I came with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, without fully realizing it, I actually entered a world of nation building. So I'm always studying other kingdoms, what they're doing, what they're not doing, because if we really want to come into nationhood, we're going to have to form a government. We're going to have to manage resources. We're going to have to make sure that there's a proper redistribution of wealth, so that we build a healthy country. I always think of Muammar Gaddafi and how he realized ignorance costs too much, so he made sure everybody was educated. They had oil reserves, so he made sure no one was homeless. I think Libya is a totally different picture now that Gaddafi is dead, from what the citizens enjoyed when he was there. But if there ever was in this 6,000-year history a real picture of what you could do with a government when you got resources in your hand and you have control. Gaddafi comes closest to showing that.
Yes, sir.
But I really thank you for being on. So we hope we can have you back along with some other members of the Haitian community that are in these organizations fighting for justice there and hoping to repair what sounds like a broken kind of relationship with these United States of America. Brother Michael, anything?
No, sir. But brother Yusef, if you can do that, brother, we would love to have you come back for part 2.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Do that, sir.
So we thank you.
appreciate the history.
We thank you for joining us here on the Souls of Black Folk broadcast, and join us every Tuesday night. And we hope to see you next week. Good night.
Good night.
We don't have the right to say it's my country. Before they give in, they'd rather fuss and fight than say it's my country. I paid